Hello and welcome. We're so excited for you to join us today for our next Roundtable Hiring Crash Course with Doug the Dog Guy. We're so honored to have Doug join us today and so excited to have all of you participate. Hiring has been the hot topic of the summer, but also just in general. It's one of those things that is very intimidating, but also really exciting. So we're super excited to have Doug join us today to share some insight and to kind of share his experience on the past 11 years or so that he's had as a professional within the industry. If you don't know Doug, he can be found on YouTube, where most of you will know him best as Doug the Dog Guy. Doug has been awesome in helping other businesses learn how to hire, prepare to hire, and understand what that hiring process really looks like. So we're super excited to have him join us today and share more about the topic. Thank you so much, Doug, for joining us.
I've seen it all. I've been audited by the Department of Labor. I have had team members steal clients. I have had all kinds of disasters happen over the years, and I've been able to push through, and I'm still here 10 years later. So I like to tell everybody, if I can do this, you can do it too. I know like the whole hiring process can seem like a little overwhelming and there's a lot to it. So, as I go here, I'm just going to kind of quickly hit some of the big main topics. And then if you guys want to drop your questions in the comments section here on Zoom, Nicole, like if as I'm going, if there's a question that really relates to what I'm talking about, let's just go ahead and hit that question right then and there instead of waiting until the end. My goal, though, is to get through the main presentation by 5:30-ish, and then that'll give us plenty of time for Q&A at the end. Yeah. I'm trying to see how I can see the chat. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, you guys like introduce yourself, get the conversation flowing in the chat, get the questions going there. And will the recording be available afterwards, Nicole?
Yes, I am recording this session, so we'll have that recording available for everyone. We'll definitely send it out to email, but there'll be a page on our website where you'll be able to take a look at it too, and of course on YouTube.
Perfect. Love that. Love that. I'm all about the YouTube. If you guys don't know, I have the Doug the Dog Guy YouTube channel, and that's where you guys can really learn more about me and see some more of my content and everything. I have over 200 videos there, kind of going through all the ins and outs of being a pet sitter, a dog walker, and a pet business owner. Yeah, so let's see. With the hiring process, I think that when I do private coaching with solo pet sitters and dog walkers who are thinking about starting to hire and build their team, one thing that I see people get kind of stuck on is you really have to learn how to think about your business in a completely different way from every aspect. Really, specifically when it comes to being a team leader. And I can tell you guys that, when I first started hiring, I had never managed anyone before. I had never hired. I had never led a team. And I didn't really know what I was getting into. And that's why I made so many mistakes at the beginning. And I really urge everyone that before you decide to hire, before we get into any of the other details of how to hire, you really need to do some soul searching and ask yourself, am I ready, willing, and able to show up as the leader that my team wants, needs, and deserves every single day? And like I said just a few minutes ago, I like to tell you how it really is. And it's hard. It's leading a team, even if you have just one employee, it will become a completely separate job for you with a lot of ins and outs. And, a lot of their problems will become your problems. And you always have to be thinking 10 steps ahead and kind of asking yourself, what's the worst possible thing that could happen here? And what can I put in place to prevent that thing from happening? And what else can I put in place to be able to succeed should that thing eventually happen? It really takes like a big mindset shift right off the bat. I think one of the reasons this was so difficult for me is because I'm a dog guy. I started a pet sitting and dog walking business to be with the dogs, to be out in the sunshine and play with the animals and everything. And this shift from going from that mindset to a true team leader, it can be a lot. So I like to start with saying do some soul searching there. Now, that being said, before we can really get into the actual hiring process itself, we have to really lay a solid foundation first for our business. I start with saying that you need to be an LLC and have an employment identification number. I know a lot of solo pet sitters and dog walkers act as sole proprietors or DBAs. And, in some states, you can legally hire someone as a DBA, but you really are going to want the legal protections that come along with being an LLC. And you're going to need that EIN number to go along when you apply for workers' compensation and all those other things that are going to come along down the line. So we kind of start with that. Something else that is really important is having a really solid, detailed contract that all of your clients have signed and agreed to. I know when I was a solo pet sitter, I did not have a written agreement. I had a couple kind of loose policies that I would kind of discuss via text or discuss in the meet and greet. And really getting these things in writing, in black and white, T's crossed and I's dotted, and make sure everybody's on the exact same page, and really make sure that your business is just functioning very smoothly is really important before you start involving other people. Because if you don't solve some of these issues before you start involving other people, it's just going to make the issue 10 times worse. Something else is, I assume everybody watching uses PetPocketbook, so you've got the software part of this down, but software is critical when we start managing a team. Because even if your clients don't care about the software, you as the manager and the leader, you need to know where your team is and what they are doing and what they are not doing, and you need to really stay on top of the quality of the services that they are providing. And if you don't have a good software to do that, it's going to be next to impossible. I'll tell you, it was 2014 when I brought on my first employee. And back then, there wasn't very many software options at all back then. And the couple that were out there were not very good. So I tried to manage my team without software, and it was a mess. Clients will question you on if your team member was there for the correct amount of time. They will question you on if the desired walking route was done. They're going to have multiple questions on everything. So you have to have this good oversight over your team. Now that's kind of on the PetPocketbook side of things, but you're also going to need outside software to help with payroll and some other things like that. I personally use Gusto for payroll. There's lots of great options out there, but you're really going to need to do your research on what all is going to be required for how you want to operate your team. Something else that's really important before you start going down the hiring path here is you really have to have a solid understanding of all of your financials and all of your other numbers within your business. This is something that when people come to me for help with their hiring process, 9 out of 10 people, I would say, really do not know how their expenses break down on a per visit basis. They don't know what their actual profit margin per visit truly is. They don't know how many miles they are driving between each visit on average. And these things are going to be really critical to figure out how much you can pay your employees. These numbers are going to be really critical to figure out when, where, and how to hire employees. So again, I really urge you to get all of this stuff sorted out before you start the hiring process. Because if you wait and you're already interviewing people, or you're in the training process and then you're trying to figure this stuff out, it's just going to make everything a lot more complicated and lead to more issues. Something else, while we're talking about understanding your numbers, is having predictable revenue. I think one of the most common questions I see is, how do I know if it's time to hire or not? And kind of my go-to answer is, if you are asking that question, then it's time. But if you're having like $1,000 in revenue this month, and then 8,000 the next month, and then 3,000 the month after that, it's going to be really hard to build a culture around that and be able to send your team enough work to keep them satisfied and keep them with you for the long run. So you really need to kind of be able to know, I'm going to have at least X number of dog walks, at least X number of pet sitting visits each week and each month before you really start going down this path. And on that note, having adequate pricing. A lot of solo pet sitters, myself included back in the day, have lower prices. And that's fine if you want to remain solo. But when you start down this hiring path, you have to really make sure that your services are priced in a point to where you can pay them an adequate living wage and still have enough money left over on top of that to be able to cover all of your business expenses, all of your taxes, put some money aside to go towards future growth goals that you have for your business, and still have enough profit margin left over at the end of the day to really make it all worth your while. And I know that doing price increases can be scary. It can be intimidating, but almost everyone that I talk to has to start the hiring process with a significant price increase. That's just almost across the board the case. And I know this isn't about price increases, but if you know that is going to be in your future before you can hire, I always say to keep it really simple and to the point. I think the more detailed explanation that you give with your price increase, really the more places you're giving your clients opportunities to poke holes in it and try to argue or find ways around it. So when we do a price increase, I just say, as of X date, our new prices will be XYZ. Thank you for sharing your pets with us. I give no explanation, and they can kind of take it or leave it. And again, I know that's scary. I know it can be intimidating, but you got this. I believe in you. And I put high quality service down here at the bottom. And this is something that I've just started adding to my talks on hiring over the last few months. It's something that I never thought that I would have to mention, but I did a coaching call with someone over a year ago now, and she kept having this issue of her employees leaving her, not sticking with her for the long run. And we kept talking all ins and outs of her hiring process, and she was doing everything great. And I finally was able to figure out that the issue was that she was not providing the same quality of service that she was expecting her team members to provide. What I mean by this is, let's say it was a 30-minute visit, and she herself, as the owner of the business and the team leader, was staying 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and instead of sending the update right there at the end of the visit, she had sent the update 6 hours later when she was home and comfortable. And she was expecting her team members to be there for the full amount of time and to send the update at the end of the visit and to do all these different things. But then they were looking at her as their leader and seeing that she wasn't doing those things. So why would they do those things? And why would they stick with a leader who's not going to do what they are expecting, of them as team members? So really, I guess I should starting my presentations with saying, look at the service that you are actually providing and make sure that it is everything that it can be and that it is the highest quality service that you can provide, and make sure that you're not going to be asking your team members to do something that you are not doing yourself. So kind of moving along from there, the labor laws vary a lot from state to state and even county to county. So again, before you start the hiring process, I really urge you to do some research on your own local labor laws. You don't have to be an expert on this. Nobody's going to become just like an expert on labor laws overnight. I don't think many of us pet people want to be labor law experts. However, if you're going to lead your team, you kind of at least need to know the basics. And I say to kind of start with these things that I have on the screen here. You at a bare minimum need to know what your minimum wage is today and know if and when it's going to be increasing. I know a lot of states right now are regularly increasing their minimum wage. So you kind of need to look ahead on those kinds of things and be able to build that into your structure from day one, so that you're not stuck in a situation where you're playing catch up or risk underpaying someone. You also need to understand your laws on overtime. I can tell you, like, I'm in Florida, and in Florida, you don't hit overtime until you hit 40 hours for the week. But there's other states like California where you're going to hit overtime if you work more than, I think it's like an 8 or a 10-hour shift, and then you hit overtime. Every state's different. Every county is different, and you really need to know what the overtime laws are, especially if you're going to be offering overnight stays. And I say that a lot of businesses, when they start the hiring process, start moving away from overnight care and going more towards drop-in visits and dog walks, because overtime gets so sticky with overnights. And this was a big shift that I had to make in my own business, where, I was very heavily based in overnight care when I was a solo pet sitter. And when I started hiring employees, I really had to start kind of getting away from that overnight care. Affirmative action means that we cannot discriminate for anything. We cannot discriminate based off of age, sex, gender, sexual orientation, religion. The list goes on, and I think we're all pretty well aware of that. And I hope we're all on the same page about that. It's 2024. So benefits, some states require you to offer benefits to your employees if they're going to be working over X number of hours, especially if you're going to have full-time employees. No, and that's, again, you're just going to have to do your research on your local state there. And OSHA requirements. We have to provide a safe working environment. Now, of course, we are going into the client's home and we cannot control the environment of the client's home, but OSHA has other requirements outside of that, such as like safety posters and posters that explain what to do in a workplace injury situation. And even if you do not have a physical location where your team will be coming and going from, you are still legally required to have those posters available to your employees. So I do not have an office for my business. I run it from my home. So I have my physical posters hung in my garage in case I was to ever have to go through like a physical OSHA inspection. Knock on wood, I haven't had to go through one yet. but they also have to be visible to your employees elsewhere. So we have all of our employees on Slack, and I have a dedicated Slack channel specifically for all of these required documents. That's where our employee handbook lives, the OSHA posters, and other things like that. And then the big one here at the bottom, do not use independent contractors. This has been a hot topic in our industry for years now. And I will tell you that I started my business with independent contractors. I ran my business with ICs for years before making the transition to full employee status. And I went through a Department of Labor audit from the Florida Department of Labor. I lost the audit. I'll tell you just very quickly, I was audited because one of my ICs applied for unemployment. Independent contractors do not receive unemployment. The employee, the IC, did not know that, and she applied, and the state saw that and said, hey, ICs don't get unemployment, so we need to look a little bit further into this. They took one look at our website and they saw a picture of our team wearing matching branded shirts, and they called me up and they said, well, obviously you are dictating their dress code, which makes them employees, not independent contractors. And kind of the rule of thumb with this is if you are providing them any training at all, or if you have any control over the work that they are providing at all, they, legally speaking, are employees, not independent contractors. And to go a little bit further from that, one of the other parts of the law says that independent contractors cannot provide the core work of the business. So if you are a pet sitting and dog walking business, you cannot legally have pet sitters and dog walkers offering pet sitting and dog walking. Did that come out right? You cannot have independent contractors offering pet sitting and dog walking. The whole reason that Rover and WAG can get away with this is that they do not call themselves pet sitting and dog walking businesses. They call themselves technology businesses. They're software businesses. That's why they can hire ICs to do this. Now, we are calling ourselves pet sitting businesses, so we right off the bat, you cannot legally use independent contractors. And I know there's some of you listening to this saying, well, my accountant told me blah, blah, blah. Your accountant is not a labor law expert. Your accountant is a financial numbers expert. They're not experts on the labor law. And I'm not claiming to be a labor law expert either, but I'm just telling you like what I've experienced over the last 10 years. And the Department of Labor put out what's called the final rule in April of this year. So if you just go Google independent contractor final rule, and you can read it for yourself, it took all of these basic things that I just talked about and made them all much stricter. That's what this final rule does. And after that, the laws do vary some from state to state. Some rules use an ABC test. Some states use other tests. But with this new final rule that's from the federal government, it's really next to impossible to legally use an independent contractor. This is something I'm very adamant about this. I have no qualms about coming right out and saying do not use independent contractors. And I do have a full YouTube video explaining the differences between ICs and employees, in detail. So you can go find that on my YouTube channel if you want some more information on that.
Doug, before we hop to the next slide, I have a couple questions, and I think this one's super relevant to the conversation right now. Petra asked, this may be a per state question. She says, are you required to pay an hourly wage for overnights? For example, she charges and pays a flat rate per service.
That's a perfect segue into this next slide. So thank you for the question, Petra. You can pay your employees hourly or piecemeal. The law, though, is that whether you are paying hourly or per visit, you have to pay at least minimum wage. So if you're offering an overnight and you want to say, I'll pay you $100 for the overnight instead of breaking it down on a per hour basis, you just have to make sure that it all equates to at least minimum wage. And I will say that I do pay my team per visit. I do not pay hourly. There's pros and cons to both. But for example, I offer an 8-hour overnight. Our minimum wage in Florida is $12 an hour, and our starting rate for this 8-hour overnight starts at $150 per 8-hour session. So that ensures that I can cover minimum wage plus all the other labor taxes that are involved, plus have a few dollars in profit left over. Now, circling back, since we're just kind of talking about overnights here, circling back to overtime, one of the reasons that a lot of businesses shift away from the overnight model is because, if you're doing an 8-hour overnight, then that employee is going to hit overtime on their third night, assuming that they're doing no other visits. They may hit overtime on their second night or even earlier if they are doing other visits, which means that you have to tell the client, hey, we're going to have to send a different team member to do your overnights every 2 or 3 nights. And I do that in my business, and I can tell you that clients do not like it. It's a kind of a weird situation for them, and it's a weird situation for us, because then we have to figure out, well, are we supposed to wash the sheets between each person? Are we having our people bring their own sheet? Do we have one person sleep on the couch and the other person sleep on the bed? There's so many moving pieces and parts that it just starts to get really complicated and a lot to manage. It's easier just to kind of back out of it and push them towards other services. So what we do in my own business is we have our 30-minute drop-in visits that are our core service. And then we have an almost overnight, which is 2 hours in the evening, 1 hour the following morning. So they get all the goodies that they want out of an overnight. They get the cuddle time on the couch, they get time for feeding and walk and playtime and all that kind of stuff. They just don't have to pay for us sleeping there. So it makes it more affordable for them, and it cuts out that worry of the overtime and that kind of stuff on our end. But yes, you can legally pay hourly or per visit. You just have to make sure that you are always paying at least minimum wage, even if you are paying per visit. So on that kind of the rule of thumb when you're thinking about how much you can pay your employees is you never want your all-in labor cost to be more than 55% of your revenue. And most people want to be making at least a 20% profit margin. And that leaves about 25% left over for all of your other expenses. So that's what you're paying for PetPocketbook, your phone plan, your marketing expenses, supplies, all of that other kind of stuff kind of goes into that bucket. Now, what I teach in the hiring course is to keep your all-in labor cost between 40 and 50% of your gross revenue. And when I say all in, what I mean is whatever they are making either per visit or per hour, plus you're going to have 7.65% in FICA taxes on top of that. You're going to have 2.7% in federal unemployment taxes on top of that. Then you're going to have your state unemployment tax, which is going to vary from state to state. Then you're going to have workers' compensation on top of that. And then depending on where you are, especially if you're in a state like California or New York, you may have some additional expenses on top of that. Now, I have this YouTube video on how to do the math. There is a mathematical formula to figure all of this out. If we had all night together, I would give you some examples and kind of go through the math with you. But again, I'm just trying to hit kind of the basics here and making sure we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So go watch this video where I walk you through the exact formula to figure this out. But I really want to emphasize the fact that we're not pulling numbers out of hats here. Like this, there is math that goes into figuring out how much to pay your employees, and you really want to start with your profit margin. I really highly encourage everyone to read the book Profit First. I've got it on the bookshelf right here behind me, and you really need to ask yourself, like, how much do I need to make off of each visit that my team member is doing to make it worthwhile for me to go out there, find them, hire them, onboard them, train them, schedule them, do their payroll every week? How much do I need to be making off of each visit for it to be worth it? So then you figure that number out, take that off the table first. Then you add up all of your monthly expenses, divide them by your average number of visits per month to figure out your expense percentage on a per visit basis. Take that off the board, and then whatever is left over, that can be your labor margin window. And then we get into the math with all of your FICA taxes, your workers' comp. That's when we get into the formula that I talk about in this video. So that's kind of laying the foundation. That all comes before we ever start hiring, right? So now we can actually talk about the hiring process itself. And I really encourage everyone to detail who your ideal team member is. This is something that we hear about with our clients all the time, is we need to outline who our ideal client avatar is. Well, we need to do the exact same thing for who our ideal team member is. Because when we outline what their demographics are, what their psychographics are, what are their behavioral patterns, what are their pain points that this job is going to solve for them, when we get all of this in writing and can really pinpoint each of these things, this will tell us what we should include in our job ad to speak to this type of person. Exactly how we think about marketing to our clients. We know if we're marketing our services to this type of person, that we need to market in this type of way, on these platforms, and use this type of wording and use these color patterns and everything else. We need to bring that exact same thought process into finding our ideal team members. And this is something that I see really overlooked. And I see a lot of people in the Facebook groups say, I'm getting really crappy applicants. And I always ask them, well, who exactly are you trying to attract? And most people have not outlined who they're trying to attract. And that's why they're not attracting the right types of people. So take a screenshot of this worksheet here. And Nicole, I can send you a PDF of this worksheet. That way you can send it to everybody that's watching, if that would be helpful.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Doug.
Yeah. Let's remind me to do that when we get off the call.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also include in the follow-up a link to that book that you had mentioned, Profit First, so that everyone will be able to check that out as well.
Sweet. Yeah. And if you guys go to my website and go to the resources page on my website, I have a list of all of the books that I recommend pet business owners read, and Profit First is on that list. So kind of moving along from there, we have to build a robust hiring funnel that is going to keep applicants flowing into our business. And this is something that I say is really important, no matter how big of a team you want to grow. Even if you only want to have one employee that is only there to act like as an emergency backup when you're not available, and you don't care about having a big team, you still need to make sure that you have applicants coming in on a regular basis, because there's always going to be a day when somebody's car won't start in the morning, or their kid missed the bus and they have to go take their kid to school and they can't make it to their morning visits. They wake up sick, they have COVID. These things happen, And it doesn't matter how great your hiring process is or how great your training process is, life happens to all of us. And it's our job as the business owner and as our team leader to, again, think about what the worst possible thing could happen and then put things in place to be able to succeed. And you never want to be in a position where someone has decided to put in their 2 weeks or quit without a 2 weeks, or all of a sudden you've gotten super, super busy and you need another person quickly, and then you don't have applicants to pull from. And then you're scrambling, and then you end up rushing the process and hiring someone that maybe wasn't the right fit. If you have a constant stream of applicants coming into your business, then you can, as applicants come in, even if you don't need them, you can send them an email or get them on the phone and say, hey, thank you so much for applying. I think we could be a good fit for each other down the line. So I'm going to keep your information and I will reach back out when I'm in need of another team member. So again, it just makes the whole process a lot easier and takes some of the panic and some of the rush out of it for you. So I really urge everyone to kind of cast a wide net. This is another thing that I see a lot of people say is, oh, I'm not getting good applicants, or I'm not getting enough applicants. And I ask them, okay, well, what are you doing to attract your applicants? And they say, well, I posted one ad on Indeed. I'm like, okay, well, that's not good enough. You need to be posting ads on Indeed and tweaking them, testing different wording, testing the format of each different ad regularly. When we are in the height of our hiring process, I am posting and changing different Indeed ads every single week. Right now, while it's a little bit slower, I'm still tweaking and testing different Indeed ads every few weeks, just to make sure that I constantly have applicants flowing in. But just posting on Indeed is where I get the majority of our good quality applicants. But like, you really need to try things outside of there as well. Post on your Instagram and your Facebook stories, hey, we're hiring. You never know who's going to see that and where that could lead to. I really highly encourage, if you guys have heard me talk about marketing at all, I am a very big proponent of email marketing and having a solid email list of pet owning families in your area that you can reach out to, and using that as a way to get job applicants can be excellent. Going into local Facebook groups. So I hire a lot of stay-at-home moms, and my city has a private Facebook group just for moms. And they sell ad spots. There's like 40,000 moms in this group, and they sell ad spots. And once every couple of months, I'll buy one of these ads to put in the group and say, we are hiring. This job is a great fit for stay-at-home parents. Here's why. Here's how you can go apply. There's also local groups that are specifically for people looking for work. And just other family-friendly groups can be a great way. I also make physical hiring flyers, and I take them around to other businesses and say, hey, I think that your customers and the people that patronize your business could be a really great fit for my team and what I'm trying to do. Would you mind putting out my flyer on your counter? Or if you have anybody come in and ask for a job and you're not hiring, maybe you could give them my flyer, and I'll do the same for you. Kind of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and that works really well. Local events is also one of my best ways to get good job applicants. I think a lot of us try to set up booths and tables at local events to push our services, but I don't do that anymore. Anytime I set up a booth at a local event, I put up a big now hiring sign, and I have a QR code that goes directly to our application page where people can come by the booth, scan the QR code, they can quickly apply, and then I'll do a quick 5-minute rapid initial interview with them right there at the table. And that's a really great way. My point here, though, is to cast a wide net. to continually test and try different things. And if you put something out and you're not getting the right kind of applicants or enough applicants, it's okay. You just got to keep going and keep trying. From there, that's kind of the job ad and attracting the applicants. Then they'll come into an actual application that they would fill out. I highly recommend having an application page on your website. Then we do a Zoom interview. I don't do phone interviews anymore. I used to do phone interviews. Now I do a Zoom interview because I think you can tell a lot more about a person by how they show up to the Zoom interview. Then if they pass that, then we go to an in-person interview. If they pass that, then we do a reference check. And then the job offer is contingent upon a background check. If you guys want to look at my job application and what the page looks like, you can go to badtofthebonepetcare.com/join the team. And this is a screenshot of the top of the page, but you can see my full application and how I have it laid out there. These are some of the questions that I ask in the interview process. I have an extensive list. If you join the hiring course, I have a list of like 50 something questions. I don't ask each person every question. You know, I kind of look at what's on their application and kind of see what needs to be asked from there for me to get a good sense of the person. But at the end of the day, I always hire for heart. I don't hire for skill or experience, because I can train anyone on how to hold a leash properly or how to scoop a litter box properly. I cannot train someone to have strong values and morals and make sure that their heart is in the right place. You can't train somebody on that. So that's what you need to be looking for when you're asking questions on the application and in a job interview. CO, I don't know what your name is. CO, I see your question there. Take a screenshot of this. Just take a screenshot of this, and all the questions are in the hiring course too. I'll leave it up for just a second if anybody's taking a screenshot, and then we're going to go to the next slide. 3, 2, boom. Okay, so yeah, I do 6 references. I do 3 professional references and then 3 personal references. Anytime I always say this, people ask, why would you ask for a personal reference? Of course, the personal reference is just going to say great things. Yeah, I expect them to say great things, but these personal references will really tell you a lot that they don't even realize that they're telling you. I'll call these personal references and say, hey, tell me what this person does in their free time. What is this person, what's this person's hobbies like? What does this person do with their own dog? And kind of the things that they will tell you will really tell you a lot about where this person's heart is and if they're going to be a good culture fit for your team. Then we do a full federal background check. And again, the job offer is contingent upon that background check coming back clean. And I always get this question, so I'll say that I use AccuTrack for background checks. And if you're a PSI member, you get a discount for using AccuTrack. So then after that, when you onboard them, I say to train on everything. If I've learned anything through growing and leading a team over the last 10 years, it is that common sense ain't common. You need to train them as if they know nothing. And we have a very, very, very extensive training process that all of my team members go through. All right, so with that, that's kind of my brief overview on the hiring process. We'll start to get into some Q&A here in just a second. I do have the positive hiring course. This course is over 10 hours of video of me teaching you through every single step of the hiring process. It's broken into 3 modules. The first module is all about preparing your business to hire and putting those foundational building blocks in place. The second module is all about how to write your job ad, how to evaluate candidates, how to interview them, all that good stuff. And then the third module walks you through how to onboard them, things to touch on in training, and then how to deal with some other issues that you may come across as your team grows over time. And then there's over 10 hours of content taught by me. And then I think there's over 7 hours of content taught by other industry leaders. There's bonus lessons from Janie Budnick, Michelle Klein, Morgan Weber, Anne-Marie from Tiny Paws. I mean, it's extensive, and I'm constantly adding to the course. And to me, I think the coolest thing about the course is that you get access to all of the future upgrades and additions that I make to the course with no extra charge. And you're put in a private Facebook group where I can give you ongoing support. I can help you answer your questions. Other people that have gone through the course can help answer your questions and everything too. And I did make a special discount code where all Pet Pocketbook people can save $50 off the price of the course. So you can put in a coupon code PetPocketbook50 when you enroll, and that'll take $50 off. And then there's the QR code and the link down there. But that being said, what questions you guys have for me? I know we moved kind of quickly and kind of skimmed over the surface on a lot of things, but so happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Yeah, I'll help field the questions. So everyone, reminder to submit your questions to the chat. I'm going to start with Joel's question here. Turnover for employees is one of the things I'm having problems with. Used to have employees staying for 1 to 3 years, and now it's more like 3 to 5 months, and even a month at times. What do you recommend there, Doug?
That's a great question. And I think the first thing I would ask is, are you hiring the right people? You know, have you outlined exactly who your ideal team member is? And are you positive that your job ad is getting in front of those types of people and saying the right things? You know, and then make sure that you're very clear and transparent with your job applicants before you hire them and move forward with them. This is something where, for me and my team, I do not guarantee any hours. I do not guarantee any set schedules. You know, so it's very important for me to say in the hiring process, there will be weeks where you have no work at all. This job that I am offering you is not something that you can depend on. So you have to have another source of income. And if you don't have another source of income from somewhere, then we are not going to be the right fit for each other. And kind of just being transparent, making sure everybody's on the same page from day one will really help alleviate a lot of those issues from the get-go. And then once you have them on your team, then I would ask, you know, what are you really doing to support your team and to build the culture? Because if you are not actively supporting your team and building the culture, then the culture is going to start to build itself, and then it may turn into something that is not cohesive for your brand and for your team overall. Just to give you like a couple quick examples here, you know, I have all of my new employees submit a bio form, and the first few questions on this biography form are for their public bio that's posted on our website, but really the majority of this form are questions that are kept private for our team to use to know how to support them better. So I ask things like, when I need to talk to you, are you the type of person that wants a quick Slack message with just the bullet points? Or are you someone that really wants a phone call with all of the details? You know, and when I want to reward you for a job well done, are you the type of person that wants like a silent pat on the back? Maybe I take you out for coffee or something like that. Or are you the type of person that wants public recognition? So I can shout you out to the whole team on Slack, or shout you out to all of our clients on our email newsletter. And once you kind of get to know what your team really wants and needs, and you act on those things, they're going to be much happier, and they're going to feel seen. They're going to feel heard. And that is more important in today's labor market than ever before. And then on top of all of that, we have monthly team meetings. The first Thursday of every month, I have a team meeting, and we alternate between in person and on Zoom. And these meetings kind of act as half ongoing training, so I can address any issues that we're seeing, or things that are coming up. And then half of this meeting is really just so I can be there to support my team and really be actively building that culture to be what I want it to be, instead of being hands off and letting the culture build itself. So I could talk about this topic all night long, but those are just a couple initial bullet points from your question there.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Joel.
Awesome. Thank you for explaining that. I feel like company culture, team culture is one of those things that's very important to me as well. So as an employee myself, think about how you would want to be treated too, is my advice. And I mean, as you have said before, like it can be isolating to be doing, not really seeing a ton of other humans. So to have that face-to-face interaction, whether that be in Zoom or in person, I think goes a long way a lot of the times as well.
Definitely.
And one question I had for you, you mentioned sometimes due to, the restrictions with overtime, you'll have to change your team member midway through an overnight. How do you handle that with the client? Do you socialize them with the new team member as well? Will they know both of them, have a chance to meet them? Curious how that works.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go about it. There's kind of pros and cons to each different method. I'll say what I do with my team is we book a new client consultation. When you start hiring employees, you don't have to charge for the meet and greet, but I would recommend that you charge for the meet and greet, because you are going to have to pay your employee for that time. And if you don't have any revenue coming in, then what money are you going to pay them with? That money is going to have to come out of your pocket and out of the profit margin. So we start with charging for the new client consultation. That way we can pay the employee. And then what we do is we send our manager or myself to the new client consultation with whichever team member is going to be doing the first visit. And then we say in the consultation, hey, I'm Doug, I'm the owner, or hey, I'm Brenna, I'm the manager, and this will be your pet sitter for the first few visits. And then I will introduce any other team members who will be caring for your pets. I will introduce them to your pets. So they're not walking in blind. I have the instructions. That's why I'm here. And if you want to meet each person, then you're going to have to book and pay for a 30-minute visit. And we do have some clients that want to meet each person, and they just have to book and pay for that 30-minute visit while they're home for that team member to go over there. But we really try to get away from that. The way that we get away from that is really making sure that our clients understand that everyone on our team is trained to provide the exact same service no matter what. So it doesn't matter if I'm coming to pet sit, if Nicole's coming to pet sit, if Brenna's going to pet sit, your update is going to be written in the exact same format. Your photos are going to be the same quality. We all do everything exactly the same. And I think people start picking favorites when there's differences, and that can lead to all kinds of issues down the line. So you just kind of want to nip that in the bud right off the bat. And really making sure that your clients understand that you are coming at this with a team-based approach from the get-go helps a lot as well. So like having on your website and your social media, your email newsletter, everywhere, talk about how you use a team, how your team works together, how your team is all trained, to provide the same quality service, so that they know when they sign up to use your services, they know what you're getting into.
We have another question from Casey about price increase announcements. He asked, when moving from a one-man show, what's the best way to do that? Through email, through software like PetPocketbook, without providing reasoning as to why prices are increasing? How do you handle the questions that come from clients wanting to address their financial concerns while also understanding it's necessary to move and grow the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that's something else I could talk about all night. And it's really going to depend on how you typically communicate with your clients. If your clients are used to getting all of your major updates on your Facebook page, then that's where you should post your update. If your clients are used to getting all of their major updates and changes and all that kind of stuff via PetPocketbook, then do it there. It's going to vary from business to business. I put it everywhere with my business. We have our weekly email newsletter, we have our software, we have our social media, we have all these different aspects. So when I make a major policy change, whether it's a price increase or anything else, I post it everywhere. That way I am sure everyone has seen it, existing clients and potential clients, make sure everybody's on the same page across the board. And then how to field their questions kind of depends on what the question is and how important the client is to your business and all that kind of thing. But my kind of general rule of thumb with our clients, especially if it's a price increase, is to kind of come at it with a take it or leave it approach. These will be our new prices as of October 1st. Thank you for sharing your pets with us. Then they come back, if they start trying to poke holes in it or ask other questions, I just reiterate that. I say, thank you so much for the question. Our prices are going up. You are not obligated to justify yourself and the decisions that you are making to anyone ever. This is your business. It is your prerogative to do whatever it is that you think is going to be best. And I think you should never let your clients or your future team members or anyone make you feel obligated to explain yourself or justify yourself. You make the decision and you kind of go from there. I know I feel like I answered the question without answering the question, but hopefully that was helpful.
Another kind of question related to price increases, obviously another very hot topic here. Do you have any advice on what's an acceptable max percent increase? I have some old clients on very low rates who I need to increase, but I'm concerned about giving them too much of a price hike.
Yeah. My general rule of thumb is never more than 20% at a time. It also kind of depends on, again, like how long it's been since your last price increase and the type of clientele that you're working with. It's going to depend on a few factors. We would kind of have to dig into your specific situation a little bit more. Petra, I see your question with how often do you raise your rates? I raise our rates every January 1st, no matter what. So our clients that have been with us for years, they know every January 1st, a price increase is coming no matter what. And with how the world has been the last couple of years with inflation and everything else, I have done a price increase July 1st as well the last couple of years. So that's 2 price increases per year, every year for the past 4 years that I have done. Now, since I've started doing them twice a year, I've had them be 50 cents per increase. Before that, I did a $1 increase every January 1st. Again, it's really going to vary depending on how often you're doing price increases and on the type of clientele that you want to work with. I try really, really hard in my business to attract like our most affluent people in town. So all of our marketing efforts with the type of wording that we use, with the type of photos that we use, the type of events that we go to, the other nonprofits that we support, I'm very diligent about making sure I'm in line with what the doctors, the attorneys, the higher end people are doing in my town. That way, a $1 price increase just isn't going to matter as much to those people as the people that are hunting for a bargain. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those people at all. I'm just saying there's different methodology and kind of different strategies depending on who you're working with, and all of that kind of stuff.
And I'd also add to that, your pricing doesn't come out of nowhere. That's another math thing. We don't like math,
Yes.
but it's something that you'll need to calculate. And I'm sure Doug can shed some insight on that as well. But I also say, like, putting my marketing hat on here, like the way you present your business is super, super important. Doug has incredible branding and his clients recognize him as having, a quality service, something that others might not be able to match because his brand really represents the quality of the service, the quality of his team that he puts forward. If anyone's interested in learning more about these types of things, Michelle Klein, talking about your ideal client avatar,
Yes.
that's a huge thing in the way you present yourself, identifying who that avatar is, recognizing their pain points and how you can address them, and also learning how you can kind of improve your branding to better address and reach those types of humans that you're looking for.
Yeah, Michelle has some great content on this. She just finished up like a 30-day marketing challenge in her Facebook group. I think it's Grow Your Daily Dog Walking Business with Dog Co. Launch. It's a free Facebook group. I'm always happy to plug Michelle. She's incredible.
Michelle's awesome.
Yeah. And I do have a YouTube video. I actually have 2 YouTube videos about how to set your prices from a point of data and math, not based off of comparisons or emotions. I think a lot of us, when we start our businesses, we just kind of look at what the other pet sitter down the road is charging, and we go, okay, well, I'm going to be $1 less than that. I mean, that's how I started, because I didn't know the math that goes in behind this. But just like I said, there is a mathematical formula to figure out how much to pay your employees. The same is true when you are pricing your services. I have 2 videos. One's a little outdated now. I think it's like 4 years old. But so watch the one that is for 2023. It's still relevant for 2024. But anyway, youtube.com/Doug the Dog Guy. I think it's called Pricing Guide, something like that.
Anyone have any other questions for Doug? And if you're just joining us, this will be recorded. We'll be sending out some follow-up information as well. Of course, all the things that we've discussed today. But if you have any questions, definitely submit them. We're curious to know, what struggles you're having with hiring. Do you have any specific questions for Doug with his experience in hiring as well?
Yeah, I know we're a couple minutes past 6 here, but I've got a few more minutes. If anybody has any other questions, I'm happy to hang out for a little while longer. If you have any questions about the course, or I mean anything at all, it doesn't even have to be hiring related,
Doug, for your course, how do people sign up for that, and what can they expect if they were to partake in the course and join you there?
Yeah, so go to dougthedogguy.co/hiring course. And I have 2 different options where you can get just the ebook. It's a 60 some odd page ebook with a couple worksheets. That's pretty much the whole course in writing. That's $49. Or the full course with all those bonuses, the private community, plus access to all the course upgrades in the private community, all of that kind of stuff. That's typically $299. But again, I do have this coupon code where you guys can save $50 off. It's PetPocketbook 50 is the coupon code that you can put in when you enroll. And if you want to talk to me a little bit more about the course, if you're not sure if it's the right fit for you or not, you can shoot me an email at doug@badtothebonepetcare.com, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I'm happy to answer any questions and help you figure out if it's the right fit for you or not before you enroll.
Thank you so much, Doug, for that discount code. That is very generous of you for this, for us, and for our businesses with us today. So thank you so much.
Oh, I'm just honored to be here. I got so excited when you emailed me and asked to do this. I'm always happy to help however I can. So thank you.
Of course, we're really happy to hear. Happy here. Looks like we do have one more question, so we'll go ahead and take that.
Awesome.
Someone is looking to expand into an unfamiliar neighborhood and city. What are some first steps you would take from your personal experience, and what have been some successful ways to advertise?
Yeah, that's awesome on expanding your business. Big congrats on that. Um, I do have multiple service areas. Jacksonville, Florida is where my core primary team is, and then I have another team about 4 hours south of here in Central Florida, down in the Tampa area. And I started my Jacksonville team, started the business 2013, started hiring in 2014, then I expanded into Central Florida in 2018. And uh, again, it was difficult. I made a lot of mistakes doing that. I do have a full YouTube video kind of talking about some of the major lessons that I learned on expanding into a new area. Just kind of quickly hit a couple core bullet points here. I would recommend that you hire first, and again, be very, very transparent with whoever you're hiring and say, hey, this is a new service area for me. So I'm going to need to rely on you to kind of help me do some of this boots on the ground marketing and all of that kind of stuff. And even if you don't have any clients there yet, I would encourage you to go ahead and hire 2 team members, because you're not going to be in this new service area and able to act as the emergency backup. So you always need to, kind of hedge your bets, put things in place to be able to succeed when shit hits the fan. So having multiple people that can kind of fill in for each other, and again, being super transparent that you don't have any, you can't guarantee any hours, you cannot guarantee income, so they need to have another source of income and all this kind of stuff. Kind of successful ways to advertise. Definitely a Google business profile is really key, and your Google business profile can only be for within a 2-hour driving radius. So if you're expanding your business outside of a 2-hour radius, you're going to have to set up a whole second Google business profile, which is highly, highly worth it. Getting reviews on that profile, posting regular updates and photos to your Google business profile the same way that you would post on Facebook and Instagram is really key to getting some traction there. And then over on your website, building out a full page dedicated to this new service area really is like a resources page to start to get your website to get some SEO traction and show up for pet parent, Google searches within that area. There's so many things I could talk about here, but those are kind of some of the key things that I would start with.
Think you and I could nerd out there a lot, Doug.
Yeah. And I will say that, I have the course, and I do also offer private coaching, private hourly coaching. There's some information about that on my website as well, dougthedogguy.co, that's .co. You can see about my private coaching. If you ever want to hop on a call and really help, if you want me to help put together your strategy for expanding into a new area, or, whatever it is that you need help with in your business, I love helping other business owners.
Awesome. One more question from Leslie. What is the best way to respond to clients as far as timing goes? I may not always be able to answer promptly, and I'll have clients send me another message, 30 minutes later with question marks. I'm not sure if I should be prompt 24/7 or set a time each day to respond.
Oh, this is good. This is good. So I have a rule with my team that we offer services 24/7, 365, all the time. But our office hours are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then we have a couple hours in the middle of the day on Sunday. So if they message us before then or after then, they get an auto reply that says, hey, it's outside of office hours, we'll get back to you, during normal office hours. That's for one. For two, oh, thank you for linking the course, Nicole. So they know that right off the bat. Coming into working with us, they know that we have set office hours, and they get these auto replies as reminders when they message us outside of office hours. And then our policy for within office hours is that we will respond to any messages and confirm or decline any scheduling requests within 4 office hours. That's the rule for my management team to follow. And my clients are informed of that rule in the new client onboarding process. So this is something where I see a lot of business owners kind of have issues with their clients, kind of pushing back on policies, questioning them on things. And like this example that you gave of you didn't respond in 30 minutes and they're coming back with you with question marks and that kind of stuff. You kind of really just need to set the stage from day one. And in the new client onboarding process, say, hey, I'm out there in the field walking dogs all day, every day. So I will get back to you within 4 office hours. These are what my office hours are, or whatever your policy is. If you need 8 hours, if you can do it within 2 hours, even better. Whatever your policy is, just make sure that everybody's on the same page. You're being very transparent, and get this stuff in writing. You need to have it in writing. So this is something that's in, I started like our hiring talk here with saying that you need a really detailed terms of service agreement that every one of your clients has signed and agreed to. This is something that we have a whole section of our terms of service outlining communication, how, where, when, and why we communicate in the ways that we do. That way, we're all on the same page.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it for questions. So thank you, Doug, for taking all these questions from us. Really, really, really appreciate you being here today. Feel like I've learned a lot, and I hope everyone else here has too. Definitely, if you're interested in learning more, check out the hiring course. If you're interested in really diving into things, digging into all the details, maybe you can set up a consultation with Doug to learn more and be really strategic together. But here's the information that you need to learn from Doug if you're looking to learn more. And he was very kind and provided this $50 code if you are interested in getting started with that course. So use our code. And thank you so much, Doug, for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Nicole. This was a blast. And everybody, please stay in touch. You can find me on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Doug the Dog Guy. Instagram is Doug the Dog Guy Official. I'm on Facebook. Just look up Doug Keeling. I love connecting with you guys. I love helping in any way that I can. If you have just like a quick question that doesn't need like a full coaching call, shoot me an email, Doug@Bad to the Bone Pet Care. Like I am here to support you guys. And again, I appreciate this opportunity so much, Nicole. So thank you to
so
Nicole.
much.
Thank you to PetPocketbook, and thank you to everybody that joined.
Awesome. I hope everyone has a great rest of their evenings, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.